This is your daily dose of all things royal. Welcome back, my gorgeous, good looking friends. We need to nip this in the bud right now. I'm going to assume that the majority of you have seen the news about Harry winning the right to appeal in this public funded security battle that he's still going at. Let's quickly look at the meat of this article to catch everybody up to speed, and then I'm going to explain to you why this is so foul. Today, Prince Harry won the right to appeal against a high court ruling dismissing his bid for taxpayer-funded security. If you recall, Prince Harry and Meghan were whining about being treated less favorably than other royals, most likely referring to Prince Andrew and his daughters. Anyway, now it has been ruled that he can challenge Sir Peter's dismissal at the Court of Appeal, according to an order that was issued by Lord Justice Bean dated on May 23rd. Okay, let's stop for a second and understand what's really happening here. So, when this news dropped, simultaneously, all these news outlets now started populating and flooding the media, all pretty much saying the same exact thing. Now, as I'm looking at how the media is unfolding with this all at the same time, pumping out all the same words and including the same exact quotes in each and every article, not a single article includes any evidence of this order that was issued. So that's one red flag. The other red flag is on May 23rd, this was allegedly signed off on. That's 14 days since this order came down. So why is it that this was released today? Could it have something to do with a certain family member who's on the global stage with world leaders? I think so. Add on to the fact that none of these papers show actual evidence that this appeal was approved by this justice, and then on top of it give this quote of saying, the Duke of Sussex hopes he will obtain justice from the Court of Appeal and makes no further comment while the case is ongoing, leads me to believe that they strategically put this out today just to overshadow William. And knowing full well that you can't trust these two, and we have seen before where Harry and Meghan force the hand of others by putting stuff out there that are not necessarily true, but they are known to put stuff out there, especially Meghan, to manifest it. We need a fact check on aisle 3, please. Fact check. Black belt barrister, where you at? And knowing that these two lie all the time, I would like to see this order for myself. So I went into the public database that holds all these court documents and searched around for it, and I couldn't find anything. And I'm just showing this to you so you can see what it would look like if, let's say, an order was issued by a judge. This is what would come back at, and you would purchase it, and then you'd get it electronically. I couldn't find this approval by Lord Justice Bean issued on May 23rd. Since this is such a one-off case, could it be that it's not in the database? Maybe. Could it also be that Harry's lying? That could be possible too. Now, at this point, you're probably saying to yourself, well, they did list a judge's name. Like, that should mean something. You're right. It should mean something. See if you can recognize what this is. For the reasons I have given, I would admit the new evidence filed by both parties and dismiss Associated Newspapers' appeal on all the grounds for which permission was given. I should not leave this case without reiterating the narrowness of the issues we have had to decide. The appeal was against the judge's decision that it could be seen mainly on the basis of the central documents in the case, viz. The People article, the letter, and the articles themselves, that the claimant's reasonable expectation of privacy and copyright in the letter had been infringed. After careful consideration of his detailed judgment, I agree with the views the judge expressed on these very confined, mostly factual questions. Essentially, whilst it might have been proportionate to disclose and publish a very small part of the letter to rebut inaccuracies in the People article, it was not necessary to deploy half the contents of the letter as Associated Newspapers did. As the articles themselves demonstrate, and as the judge found, the primary purpose of the articles was not to publish Mr. Markle's responses to the inaccurate allegations against him in the People article. The true purpose of the publication was, as the first 4 lines of the article said, to reveal for the time to the world the full content of the sensational letter written by the Duchess to her estranged father shortly after her wedding. The contents of the letter were private when it was written and when it was published, even if the claimant it now appears, realized that her father might leak its contents to the media. Now, if you're still drawing a blank on this was the judgment that came down in the appeals case that the Associated newspaper had raised against Meghan Markle for this letter that she claims was a violation of her privacy. Well, this appeals case that the Associated newspaper had raised was hoping to move it forward to trial to expose this fraud even further. But during that trial, you remember Meghan Markle was exposed as the biggest liar ever because it then came out that those emails that were written back and forth with Jason Knopf of Meghan and Harry having everything to do with the book Finding Freedom, as well as seeing all the things that Meghan had been saying that were nasty about her sister Samantha. If you were like me, we all thought that this was moving forward to trial because the Associated Newspapers was like, no, we didn't violate any privacy. You shared this letter with 5 friends and you purposely did this to defame your father. This whole case was suspect from beginning to end. And if you want me to revisit this as a refresher, let me know in the comments below. But in any case, the decisions that Justice Warby had made in siding with Meghan Markle not only were questionable in my opinion, but also ethical. And I think the Associated Newspapers saw that. And once Finding Freedom came out, they saw an opportunity to push back. Hence the reason why they appealed this in order to take this further, to shut Meghan down and prove that she was the one behind leaking the letter to her 5 friends and was behind orchestrating this whole People magazine hit job that was done on Mr. Markle. Now, sadly, the Associated Newspaper failed in their attempt to moving this to go to trial because the justices who were presiding over deciding this kiboshed it and sided with Meghan, even though she was exposed as the biggest liar. And can you take a guess who is responsible for protecting Meghan from further exposure and kiboshing this from moving forward? Well, that would be Lord Justice Bean. Yes, the same Lord Justice Bean who allegedly approved Harry to move forward in appealing this case for getting his IPP status back and his taxpayer-funded security, which we all know at the end of the day, it's going to be America who's going to have to pay for this. Now, if indeed this was approved and Harry can move forward and appeal this case for this publicly funded security, will Lord Justice Bean be the one who's presiding over this appeals case? Sounds like it is. I don't know what side this guy's bread is butter, but he was appointed a Queen's Counsel and he did receive the customary knighthood as a Knight Bachelor. And as a Lord Justice of Appeal, he was appointed to the Privy Council. So he is loyal to the crown. And even though Meghan Markle only won $1 from the Associated Newspaper, she still managed to keep her secret secret and not get charged for perjury. Now we have Prince Harry, whose case should have been thrown in the garbage, but now it's moving forward in this appeals process, to which more taxpayer money is going to be wasted. So the question is, who are they protecting? Are they protecting these 2 fools, or are they protecting the king? In the 51-page document that was released, partially redacted, it was very clear as to why Harry was not getting his security back. And the Home Office, as well as the royal family, did everything they could to accommodate these 2 scumbags. Now, if you recall, I went through this 52-page judgment, and it was pretty clear that the timelines, the resources, and the people involved knew things that were going on that they weren't telling the public. For those that want to go back, this is the video that I went through, the 51 pages, showing you that a lot of the stuff that they told us in this Megxit story doesn't jive with some of the things that were here when they were planning on how they were going to protect this fool. So we really have to wonder, why is it that this justice has approved this appeal to waste more taxpayer dollars? I mean, it was very clear in the 51-page document on why Prince Harry no longer has his IPP security anymore. Could this have something to do with Prince Harry's visa here in the United States and why it's taking so long for the judge to come back with a simple response on yes, he lied or no, he lied? Now, I did this video today. If you haven't seen it, please check it out, of this GB presenter slipping, exposing that Harry is on this A1 visa. Now, I said in this video that if this immigration lawyer did tell GB News on the side that Harry has an A1 visa, then she violated the law and violated Harry's privacy. I almost wonder if that was a setup, in order to create the optics as Harry being so important here in the United States that he has this A1 visa? Or is this to keep the facade that he should be protected and this is the caliber or level that he is used to here in the United States? I don't know. I almost get this feeling that the judge here in the US is running the clock, waiting and watching to see what happens with Harry's IPP court case. If Harry gets his IPP status back, then it's pretty much an open and shut case. No information will be disclosed to the American public, no matter how much it is in the American interest to know so. I suspect that what's in Harry's visa is opening Pandora's box, and there might be some deliberation on how it might affect diplomatic relations between the United States and the UK, or possibly other countries. I don't know. I'm going to go ahead and trust my gut on this and say that there is something very fishy here. And we need to be vigilant in not getting caught up in the propaganda and psychological manipulation, but trusting that instinct to say something's not right. We have to pay attention to what's not being said and the details surrounding it. As a little fun fact, as I was looking through Getty Images, it just so happened that AFP, our AFP fact checkers, AFP Television had provided all the footage for the Meghan and Harry Nigeria royal tour. As you can see here, Britain royals. The other thing that my gut is telling me, Charles is still very much involved. Maybe not seeing Harry and talking to them on a day-to-day basis, but most likely financially. I think that's a strong possibility. I mean, look how he's helping Andrew. The last point that I just want to make here on this video is I don't know if I had mentioned it at the time when Harry was filing for this appeal and said if he does get it approved, then it's most likely that he's going to get this IPP status back. I don't know if I shared that as to why I thought that was the case, but I do think to some extent they just want him to shut up and go away, especially the king. For the last 6 years, this is all this couple have been talking about is this stupid security. Starting with the Oprah Winfrey Life Fest, we had the New York City car chase, to the poor acting in the Netflix mockumentary. Let's not forget Meghan calling the paps herself to look like she's being hounded, as well as setting up these calls to the police, making it look like she's got an intruder, but it's really her that's behind it. Like, all these ridiculous stunts that they have pulled to create this false narrative. I don't doubt that this couple needs security. I don't want to have to pay for it. Neither should any taxpayer have to pay for it. What they have right now is perfectly fine. Nobody is after them in the way that they think that people are after them. If we really want to be honest here, the threats are coming from this one's wife. In all seriousness, she is the one that Harry needs security from. I don't know what to make of Harry. I see him as someone who is just trapped. He's not going anywhere, and he's going to stay in this with Meghan. Harry gave up everything for this selfish, ungrateful witch. And when all their dirty dealings finally catch up with them and it's time to face the consequences, you can be sure that Meghan will throw Harry to the wolves to save herself. Bet on it. Anyhow, what do you guys think? Definitely leave your thoughts below. As always, I will be back with more content. Make sure that you hit that like button. And if you're not subscribed, please do and turn your notification bell on so you don't miss any future drops. But on that note, please be safe and I'll talk to you later. Bye.
I was such a fraud.